deserve.
Nerdrotic.com.
This is from Bleeding Cool, garbage tier of all garbage tiers. Listen to how he writes this article. You want to talk about, like, I'm going to show you everybody I am the most beta insecure person alive. It's time for some DC Comics reportage. Some people say that Bleeding Cool runs every story we get regardless of its provenance or likelihood. That's just not true. Stories are weighed up by the reliability of sources, the closeness to the situation, and the number of confirmations. Man, Pulitzer Prize winning shit right there. Wall, a couple of weeks ago, I don't know what Wall is. Wall, a couple of weeks ago, I got the word that over the past few weeks, DC Comics staff who had still been working from home had been allowed into the Burbank headquarters building to retrieve their belongings, which they couldn't get during the lockdowns. I mean, recently? That was 2 years ago. What if they had something important in there? That they had been told that the Warners was going to, Rich, they had been told that the Warners was going to using the space for something else. I read that exactly how it's written. And that DC Comics will no longer have access to these 3 floors of prime Warner Brothers real estate in beautiful Burbank, California, by the way. Not a fan of California, but I'm a fan of Burbank. I lived there for a little while. It's a nice place. It's a very nice place. Some good restaurants, a couple of good comic stores, good collectible store. Problem is, it's in Los Angeles. And everyone was moving again to offices close by. It seems that DC staffers working from home, or in one case, Hawaii, had done such a good job during the pandemic that physical proximity in the primest of prime estate was suddenly seen as an access cost by Warners. That's a very interesting way to put it. DC Comics have been doing their jobs so well that they don't need to come into the office anymore. Oh, man. Hollywood speak. You gotta love it. You were doing such a good job that we no longer need you. You finished it. You finished all the work. You did so well that we don't need you. But good job, buddy. We fixed the glitch. In other words, Warner Brothers said we have these 3 floors and we don't want to use them on our IP holders, because that's all comic books are now, is IP holders. The comic book industry right now is reprints and manga and kids books. But those aren't doing as well as they were a couple of years ago when we were in the greatest economy of my lifetime. But thanks to lockdowns, wars, poor leadership, poor state leadership in California, poor leadership that we've had over the last year and some change. Anyway, at the time, I couldn't get a second source that I was happy with, so I let it simmer. A spinning plate, waiting for a second show to drop. And another horrendous mixed metaphor. And that just landed in my inbox. A reporter posted to a private WhatsApp group from one DC Comics staffer, saw them packing up their cubicle for the new DC building and confirming that they will now be working on a hot desk model in the new building, also known as shared workspace. That indicates an office working environment in which people are not at all in the office at the same time. For those of you going, why are you laughing at somebody like possibly losing their job? And that their job would be very secure right now if the comic book industry wasn't filled with assholes. That's what you call a fact. So desks are not attributed to any one person. Any employee can sit down and use the desk as if it were their own, except it's not. Welcome to socialism, shitheads. You love this shit. Now you get it. So you can have fewer desks than staff, which cut costs in terms of office space and technology needs. Maybe y'all can share lunch too. Maybe when there's a sandwich in the fridge, it's a community sandwich. But it can also, well, some places, quite frankly, that happened to me. It did. And you want to see the bad side of me? There's 2 things you can do. Disrespect my wife and eat my food. You get prison Gary on that shit. But it can also create quite the soulless working environment. devoid of personal quirks. Again, welcome to socialism, dipshit. Which is why ad agencies that I have worked at, which have used this working model, have also thrown in table tennis tables, Subatu, I don't even know what, and snooker tables. That sounds like a good way to get me too, buddy. I'm not sure what that is. That's some British phrasing there. I don't know. In order to try and create conviviality, the kind that has been removed by people no longer having their collection of Warhammer miniatures lined up and down the cubicle as if they are about to launch a surprise attack on any visiting executives. Again, welcome to shared spaces, no private property, and community. You got what you wanted. You just had to start first. I love it. I fucking love it. DC Comics offices have become famous for a reflection the individual personalities of employees at their desks. Well, we can't have individuality in community and collectivism. Booths or cubicles, whether that was Paul Levitt's elastic band balls. God, do I miss Paul Levitt's. God, do I miss Paul Levitt's. Dan Didio's potted plants. Don't miss Dan. So they don't have a I know nobody gives a shit about comic books anymore. They're just so long gone. Basically, you need a shared workspace to make your next gay character. Or I'm sorry, repurpose your next gay character. That's what you get, DC Comics. All those headlines. What'd they get you? A shared workspace. But hey, at least you still have a job. Individual personalities. Huh. That's very interesting you bring that up. It's sad to see what the comic book industry has become, but it's no fault of the customer. That evil paying customer that DC comic creators and Marvel comic creators did not think they were accountable to in any way, shape, or form, and felt free to insult, disrespect, and then go so far as to start vandalizing characters just to piss them off so they can own their enemies, because that's all this is. It's all it's ever been. These people are far too sociopathic and narcissistic to actually give a shit about you or the customers. I mean, if they don't give a shit about the people who give them money, do you think they actually care about any cause? It only makes them look better and makes people look the other way when they're being the ally male feminist who is scared to death he's going to get Me Too'd at any moment. Comic books was a proving ground for all the shit we're seeing in Hollywood right now.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.
If you like what I do here, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking and sharing the videos. It really does help. And if you did this with your favorite YouTuber as well, I'm sure they would appreciate it as much as I do.